Together, I better be standing aside. Now is the time, don't know about you, but I'm gonna ride. We gotta climb, fight for your Vegas, man, where was your pride? Where were the gunners that you got inside? Look how our ancestors came to this country, they tried to be living the American dream. Don't throw it away, they promise you money and got your aging for the machine. Pick a new team, you flesh socialism, but that is a system that you wanna bring. You need to think, we gotta fight communism, cause it look like we on the brink. Connect on the links, so one party system is taking the power from all of the people. We need to think. While you listen, these people are evil and want you to sequel. So what is your plan? Hand in hand, we're standing together, cause it's the one never to do what you can. Please understand, we gotta do better, so walkers remember that we took a stand. Escúchame, 24 es el año, si se puede. Lucha, lucha por la libertad. Órale, vamos.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Latino Free Minds, episode number 82. On this episode, we're kind of doing the fighter series. So that's when we bring up someone that we consider a fighter in this country, right? Given everything that's going on. And today we have Bianca Garcia. She is I'm going to see if I get this right off the top of my head, president of Latinos for Trump and the founder of Latinos for America First. Did I get it right?
Pretty much, yeah. You got
All
it
right,
right.
cool. How you doing, Bianca?
Yeah. How are you? Glad to be here with you guys tonight.
Yeah. We're glad that you could come on. Christian, how you doing, man?
Doing all good here, man. Just getting out of work. I had to be here though, definitely.
Yeah. It's
with the brain that organized, the last couple meetings we've been holding with Latinos for Trump, and it's been good. Now we got her for ourselves, right?
I know, right?
Pretty cool.
That we're talking a little bit right now before we came on that Zoom call, right? The initial one, which it had so many people tune in.
Yeah.
Even when it was when it came up on X, right? When I was watching it, at that moment, I think I saw 30,000 watching it live, which is like, whoa, that's a lot. How did that whole call and all that idea come about, and executing it, which is, it's hard, man. It's hard to get all those people you got people from all kinds of different organizations, which was pretty cool.
God, yeah.
In one call. So how was that, putting all that together?
So it was really I didn't know what it was going to turn out to be, honestly. So my friend Dom is we worked together at Blexit, and he did the blacks against Kamala the week before, and I saw that, and he was like, they had like 72,000 callers or like people on the, and then he did really well, on the live, and so I called him immediately and I said, Dom, you got to help me do the Latinos. I was like, we have to ask the Hispanics to come on board and talk about why we're not voting for Kamala. And so he was like, yeah, sure. And I said, I'll call some of the leaders of different organizations, or leaders that I know of out there that can mobilize and organize people, whether they have an organization or not. Like, there's a lot of leaders out there that maybe don't have an organization. And so I started to call, just other influencers and friends of mine and people that I worked with. And I was just like, hey, we're going to have a call. Can you join or whatever? And they were like, yeah, sure. So it just started, and, it just spiraled. I mean, it spiraled. Once Dom announced it, it went insane. He did like 3 tweets announcing it, and each tweet, I still call it Twitter, but each X post or whatever. Yeah, everybody does. I'm like, we don't call it X, but so when he posted, every single tweet that he did was literally like 800,000 views on just announcing it. So he thought, this is going to be massive. And he started telling me, he goes, Bianca, he was like, you're going to have 30,000, you're going to have 50,000, you're going to have 80,000. I was like, what? He goes, you surpassed the blacks. He goes, holy crap. And so like, I was like, oh my God. And I said, Dom. And he was like, yeah, he's like, so, thanks to my friend, Luke Cray, for helping me, that idea, putting it into action and helping me, pretty much promote it and get it up and running. And so thanks to him. I mean, but the Hispanics, as soon as we made the call to action and the call, like we were like, "Hey, join us in Latinos against Kamala." I
Hmm.
mean, everybody came out from coast to coast, and it was really beautiful to watch. And I don't know, how. I mean, you guys probably don't know much of my history, but I got activated in 2016. I'm one of the original co-founders of Latinos for Trump.
Hmm.
And actually what the Latinos for Trump really, it was like breeded out from coast to coast. And Marco Gutierrez at the time, out in California was one of the, co-founders as well. And then we went all the way to to Florida and then up to New York. And then I was kind of in the middle in Texas. And so yeah, we just united through social media, through Facebook pages. And I flew out to Florida to go march with the Cubans, and that was kind of where I was like, holy crud, like the Cubans, like they outdo us all. Like the Cubans were 2,000, 3,000 deep on the street. And I'm like, we don't have this in Texas, and we don't have this, anywhere else. But it was really, really fun. And we were like, we were up against everything. Like the whole system was like they ignored us. They shut our social media pages down. We had to like keep opening up pages, and the media would just, and then they went after Marco completely. I mean, they media came after us really, really hard. In 2016, it was very, very difficult to call yourself a Latino for Trump. And it was just extremely difficult. We did not have the activism in the Latino community that we have today back in 2016. It was really, it was just, I mean, listen, the media found out who you were. They would camp out at your front door and say all kinds of nasty things about you. They'd find everything they could, whether it was true or not, they'd find it out, make up lies. I mean, it was insanity. For a while, I had to use like not my real name because I have my husband's in law enforcement, and so we had to really be careful. It was tough. I mean, we would go out on the corners of the street, and we go to places where we knew that it was like not friendly to us, and we would like wave flag, and and do signs and stuff, and we'd be like, "Ooh, Latinos are Trump," or just Trump or whatever. And I mean, it was like, I mean, there was people that would come after us, like throw bottle waters at us. They flick us off. They would be like calling us obscene names through their windows. I mean, it was crazy in 2016. But once Trump won, the media they would laugh at us, and they're like, Trump's only going to get 11 or 13% of the Latinos. I was like, no, he's not. There's no freaking way. Like I've traveled all across the country. I went to New York. I went to Florida. I went to California. I was like, I've traveled. I went to Nevada. I was like, no, 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 no. He's gonna get way more of the Latino vote. And they were like, no way. I mean, they made fun of me. And sure enough, in 2016, when he won in 2016 in November, he got like 29% of the vote. And me and another guy, Juan Fuel, out of Florida, we called the Trump campaign on a daily basis up in New York at the Trump Tower because they had nobody. They didn't. Trump campaign had no Hispanic representation. They didn't have no literature. They didn't have messaging. They didn't have nothing. So we would call every day until they went and pulled this girl out of the data room. And when they pulled her out of the data, they literally went into some data room, and they said, does anybody in here speak Spanish? And the girl was like, I do. And they said, oh, great, you're promoted to like the Latino outreach or whatever. And she was like, what? And so anyway, that's how that happened. It was a very unconventional election in 2016 when Trump ran. And so yeah, we made like it was just insane, and it was awesome. And it's awesome to see just now how many Latinos out there. It's taken us 8 years. It was not going to be a short term 3 6 month process. What I told the Republican Party was, you cannot come around to the Latino community that doesn't know you, you have no relationship with, you have no history with them. You can't come knocking on their door 3 months before and say, hey, vote for us because we're the party
Hmm.
for you. You can't do that. You're going to have to build relationships, establish, some history, and you have to stay true to your word because we can sniff you out. If you're trying to like sell us some BS or whatever, we're not buying. And so and sure enough, here we are. It's awesome to see that people like Legsit and Blexits and Jexits and I mean Latinos for Choice, that you guys I mean it's amazing to see so many different groups out there that are forming now who are conservative. It's just an amazing thing to see that we have more leaders, more people who are vocal, more people who are speaking out about what our community really stands for. And so, yeah, that's really how this whole movement started. And this call was just a testament of that hard work that in the grassroots, people like our organization who've been so true. I mean, this has not been, we don't just activate during campaign season, we're year round. A lot of us have dedicated our lives to this cause. And it's really good to see that there's so many others and there's so much room. That's why I think I said this on the call that day. I said, listen, we're like, it's cool to identify all these leaders everywhere, but people don't realize that there's so much ground to cover. I just came off a national tour with General Michael Flynn for his Flynn movie. And we traveled by vehicle the whole United States. I traveled with 12 alpha men, military, special forces men. I was the only girl and the one Latina so talk about
No
like talk
Latinx.
oh my God, no,
No
listen out.
Latinx in there, right?
No Latinx. Listen, no, that's forbidden. I hate that word. I mean, it was it was amazing, but I'll tell you what I witnessed and what I saw and what I learned is that there is so much territory to cover. There's no right now, even with the current leaders that we have right now, I mean, we have a lot of work to do. So I know there's a lot of organizations out there that fight about who's number one or who's this or we're the
Yeah.
people that do this or we're that or we're this, and everybody tries to fight over territory. I was like, do you know how much land there is out here in the United States, that like your own backyard alone, if you
Mm-hmm.
can't conquer your own backyard, what makes you think you're going to conquer anything else? And
Yeah.
so that's kind of my thing, is like, work on your own backyard first.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a precinct chair, a presiding judge for many elections, until I ran for office. And so you gotta in my first election that I ran for, I pretty much, my backyard was where my votes came from. And it's in other places that I didn't fare so well, but in my backyard I did pretty well. And so it's a work. Listen, this is not easy. This is not an easy job, but it's really amazing. I thank you for having me on. you know um I know that back in 2016, in 2017, I was invited to the White House on Hispanic Heritage Month, and I was working for the Republican Party. They offered me a job after Trump won. And I was a stay-at-home mom of 10 years, Danielle. So I come from the barrio. And
Mm-hmm.
so really, honestly, everybody was like, you went from, from the barrio to the White House kind of thing. Like within a year, you went as a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. You literally went from within 1 year from being a stay-at-home mom to the White House in 1 year. And that was a huge, like, for me to from where I come from, where I grew up, that's a huge accomplishment alone.
Oh yeah.
So it's been an amazing journey, but we have so much work to do. We do not
Mhm.
have anything in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean exactly what you said, right? Like I myself, I don't know Christian. I don't think Christian has either. Like we've never been to the White House, right? And it's for to be
I'll
given
take
that
Mar-a-Lago.
opportunity. Yeah, right. I'll go to Mar-a-Lago. To be given that opportunity, it's like, yeah, like you said, out of nowhere, right? And the one president that gave you that opportunity, right, is the one that they continually call a racist. So that it's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny how that works, right? But
Yeah, and he invited me every year. Every year that he was in office, I got invited for Hispanic Heritage Month, and it was it was truly an awesome opportunity, and I'm so grateful because listen, no president has ever invited me to the White House. I mean,
Yeah.
and so
Well,
it was truly amazing.
yeah. Well, what I think is important to point out is that, you've been doing this since 2016, right? The Trump's first go around. I mean, back then, people, like you said, maybe they weren't activated. I wasn't activated, until a little
Hmm.
further down. So being able to say, no, I'm rooting for Trump in 2016 is major, because you went ahead and did it again in 2020, and we're going to go ahead and do it again in 2024. But now in 2024, I think we have a lot more people, and it's a little safer to say to your own family or to your own friends, yeah, man, I think it's Trump's time this 2024. So because again, in 2016, maybe you were quiet because of those relationships. You didn't want to vocally go out and say you voted for Trump, but you were still going to go ahead and do so, right? But
Hmm.
we see how that helped us in 2020, right? When the government was putting their claws around us, shutting down, the country, and
Yeah.
staying quiet didn't help us there, right? And
No,
I think this
yeah,
time
you're
around,
right.
it's time to get activated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the one thing that people don't realize, and this is where we policy wise, this is what's real easy to sell, to speak to our communities is if you remember the lockdowns in COVID and they made you shut down all your, Walmart was able to stay open, the alcohol places, the liquor stores were able to stay open, and all the big stores were able to stay open. But if you had a small business, and most of Latinos are small business, we are the driving force. And this is something that I learned during Trump's, while we were in the White House. Um, Jovita Carranza was, she was like a Latina that was appointed to the Department of Treasury. And then there was another guy, Alex, I can't remember his full name, but anyway, there was another guy that was also, he was Department of Labor. And I'll tell you that these people, told us that the fastest growing minority small business or the small business were Hispanic owned business and mainly Latinas, and they were debt free. And across the United States, it was the fastest
Wow.
growing business. And so that tells you alone that we are the driving force of we are what really makes the economy function in the United States. And yet we don't get the respect that we deserve. And so here we are, during COVID, we get locked down, you get told you can't go to work, you can't open your job, you can't, barbershops. Listen, I met a barber that had several barbershops up in California, somewhere in the definitely on the west coast, up north of Santa Barbara, and he's still in legal battles, that they've come after him. He owes, like, they fined him $200,000. He said we couldn't feed our families. And so that alone right there is a reminder, and it's people like you in your own communities that say, hey, when somebody tries to say, oh, well, Trump this or Trump that, oh, really? Well, interestingly, because yeah, Trump was in office, but here locally, guess who shut us down? It wasn't Trump that shut the whole country down.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, let's slow things down for 6 days. The Democrats ran locally in all the major metropolitan cities like Los Angeles, where I live, Houston, Dallas, New York, Chicago, all of the big major areas, Miami, all those places were affected. And how many Latinos live there? We're majority Latinos in those major cities. And they locked us out of, we didn't send our kids to school. There was kids that were committing suicide. They don't talk about how many kids committed suicide because they had no social skills. They were locked up in their house, and you were told you couldn't go anywhere, and if you did, you had to mask up. It was like the most ridiculous thing. Like, if that alone doesn't tell our community we do not like government control. It's why
Mm-hmm.
people have left in groves from South America, Central America, and Mexico. This is why people have left, because of the socialist, communist, agenda there. They don't have freedom. The government tries to tell them how to do everything and anything. So they have total control of the people. This is why they come here for freedom. And then
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to go ahead and give your freedom up, and you want to call Trump a racist? Are you kidding me? So, that alone right there, we suffered. We are the small, we own the small business, the that we own that. That is us. That is our hard work ethic that that we put. That's how we put food on the table. And you shut us down coast to coast, and you told our kids they couldn't go to school, and and then you try to vax us. And then you
Mm-hmm.
try to force us to take a drug that had not been tested, and we were supposed to be your guinea pigs. And then most of the Hispanics didn't want to comply. But guess what? They started to offer them $1,000 to take one shot.
Yeah.
Well, if you're hurting because you've been shut down, you can't pay your bills, you're gonna take the $1,000 so that you can get, so that you can hopefully pay your bills at home. I mean that's how bad it was when your own government offers you money to take something that this to take a shot,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is supposed to make you better, but they have to pay you to do it. That's already a red flag. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. I'm like, you're
Cuomo
trying to
gave out
come.
cheeseburgers.
No, come on. No way, man. No way. Not here,
No.
man. No
No.
way.
Yeah, and that was the thing too, right? And not just that, it's then Biden tried to use OSHA to make it federal for all workplaces. And, so many people, I think COVID, um, it was what, a good 2.5 years of
Hmm.
everybody's life, right?
Hmm.
Of
Of
kids'
nonsense.
educations, just yeah. And it's not one of those things where you could just be like, well, it already passed, and stop talking about it. It's like, no, we got to remind people that this is what they did, right? And yeah, COVID started when Trump was in office, and you know I think Trump was just trying to figure it out like everybody else, right? And then obviously the media did its thing. The media started blaming Trump for every single death. um
Hmm.
and then you said then people are getting bribed to take the vaccine that a lot of these people, like Kamala, for example, said she wasn't going to take the Trump vaccine. And then they turn around, get in office, and they start, forcing people to take it. So I think that's something that, people should be reminded of. And the point you made about, you know, people leaving those countries to come here for more freedom and less government control, have to realize that, even right now, Kamala, she's pushing what, a price control on food. So, I mean, I don't, I think stuff like that,
Oh,
when that comes out, we have to highlight it because that's
There's
dangerous.
ramifications.
Yeah.
yeah, listen, she literally basically said that she could go and pull people's trademarks and small businesses from them and yank them. And they're like, "Can you do that?" She's like, "Of course you can." She's like, "You just have to be bold enough to do it." And I'm like,
Hmm.
it's that chick, man. This
It
chick, she
sounds
gotta
like
go.
Fauci. It sounds like
Yeah, I was
Fauci.
like, she gotta go. I'm like, listen, I don't know, but Kamala needs to go to the barrio because she won't make it.
Hmm.
She won't make
Well,
it. Her and her
now that
line.
we're oh, go for it.
No, her and her line, I'm black today, but I'm really Indian and God knows what else, and Jamaican and whatever else. I'm like, y'all just identify, this whole identify, I identify today as one thing. I mean, it like what? Y'all are acting like my 2-year-old that's throwing a tantrum because today he wants to be a fireman, tomorrow he wants to be a policeman. And they want to play, they want to role play, right? Because they're little, they don't know any better. That's what they act like, literally like little children
Hmm.
who are just every day they wake up and they go, today I want to be a princess and tomorrow I want to be a border czar. And then you got the geriatric man walking around the White House, doesn't even know where he's at, falls downstairs, he takes naps, he's eating his ice cream, he's taking naps at the beach. There's people bombing over there across country. I mean, listen, he has no clue what's going on around him at all, at all. I mean, this is a mockery that they have made of our country. And I've said it since, like, before I got involved in politics. Before I got involved in politics, I'm a
Well,
very spiritual woman, and I said the Latinos, and this was before 20. This was like probably in 2007 or 2008. I would make a reference, and I said the Latinos are going to be the history makers and the game changers that save this country. I said that, and I didn't know why I was saying it. I would just say that, and then now come fast forward Trump, and then everything that we've seen just in the last 8 years with the Trump and how he gets completely. I mean, come on, they charging him, indicting him. I mean, seriously. I mean, serious. Like it's just unreal. This is unrealistic. It doesn't exist. I mean, to treat them worse than mob bosses is unbelievably, it's just ridiculous. But that's the thing is that we sit there and I'm like, this is why now I'm like, this is the year. 2024 is the year of the Latinos. If we do not get activated, guys, let me tell you, we will lose this country and we will never return back. Venezuela, once you've gone communist, you can vote your way into communist, but you can never vote your way out because you lose everything. And I will tell you, as of today, I found out the Democrats have actually put in $130 million. It's actually 127 million. $127 million to turn out the vote in the battleground states, the Latino vote. That's
Mm.
how much money they're dumping to try to make sure they keep the Latino vote. We over here on the conservative end, we have to like fight for every donation and everything that we do, and we're trying to fight for our liberties and our freedoms. And
Mm-hmm.
and this is what we're faced with. We are up against a big giant. Now, I want to tell y'all, I know he was going to, because Christian, I'm going to let you say, because I know you wanted to say something, but I want to talk to y'all about a current issue that's going on right now. So go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
Oh no, well, I just wanted to kind of tap in on what you're saying, right? The PR done by the Democrats to the Latinos, um, it's been for a long time. I mean, my dad told me that my grandpa cried when Reagan died. That my grandpa loved Reagan, and I've heard from other Latinos, or Hispanics that they love their family or their grandparents also loved Reagan. But to tell them that, hey, yo, Reagan was a Republican, that would just blow their minds because they can't fathom what a Republican is now to what Reagan was. So it's the PR is second to none that they have over the Hispanic community.
Well, let me tell y'all, something that y'all need to really start talking about. Because look, you guys are in California. This is super important because this is all coming out of California. So, about a week and a half ago, actually, okay, let me timeline it for you. This is so important, y'all.
Okay.
If you are Hispanic, Latino, you have to. What I'm about to tell you is very exclusive and explosive, and we took it to the national media. They did write about it at the Daily Mail.
You heard it
Okay,
here first.
the day after, yeah, exactly. The day after we had our call with 130,000 people, and you're right. Listen, the next day we viraled on Thursday, right? When we were
Mm-hmm.
live, we viraled, and we were the number one spot on X, Latinos against Kamala. Now, Dom did something very creative, and he called it Latinos for Kamala
Mm-hmm.
during the live, but he
Yeah.
changed it because he wanted to fool the Democrats. He said, I'm gonna fool the Democrats because they think that we had our call yesterday, so today when we go live, they're gonna be like, "Ooh, join the call," right? They thought they were
Mm-hmm.
joining the call, and so I was reading some of the comments, and they're like, "I don't think these people are against Kamala, like for Kamala." Like they were like, and then there was like
Gotcha.
people going, Trump 2024. It was hilarious. Dom is a genius at that. Like he is so like the clickbait man. And there was people getting mad at me. They're like, they don't want to watch this thing because they think you're for Kamala. What's wrong with you? And I said, you guys don't know how to man Jedi mind people. Y'all crazy. Y'all take listen, hold my beer and
Okie
watch us
doke.
Latinos. Yeah, hold our beer and let us Latinos, our Dos Equis. Hold our Dos Equis and our
The whole
Corona real
switcheroo.
quick. Yeah, let's just watch us, man. So they were like in shock and awe because they really thought it was they're like, oh, it's our turn, and it wasn't their turn, and they had to hear us talk about how bad Kamala was, and so it was a genius move. Well, the next day, it was all over the news that Lulac had
Mm.
endorsed Kamal. No, sorry. The next day, well, okay, so the next day there was an underground something. I'm sorry, not the next day. Saturday morning, it goes on New York Times and all of the mainstream media put out this story, and they're like, oh, the Latinos, the LULAC, I'm sorry, LULAC has endorsed, Kamala Harris, and they've never endorsed anybody before, but they, don't want Trump in office, and they go on this huge thing. Then Fox News puts out a poll. Oh, 50, Kamala has the Latino vote. She's got 58% of the Latino vote, and Trump only has 42. And I was like, no, 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 no. I was like, Fox, first of all, Let's talk about the real story, Fox. Let's talk about the real story. When Hillary ran in 2016, she got 70%, close to 69% of the Hispanic vote. Okay? Like that's so now you're talking Kamala has 58%. You're not talking the real game. We have chipped away 12% of their voting block. They
Mm-hmm.
can't afford to lose anymore, and they're going to, because we're going to keep talking
Mm-hmm.
the way that we should, and we're going to make sure that we turn out the vote for the right people and people like Trump. And so here goes. So they come out with their whole narrative. Oh, and they're trying to make it look like that. Trump just doesn't have the Latino vote. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So that was the first thing with Fox. Then LULAC is a whole other story. So about a year ago, and actually I've been telling Latinos this for a long time, especially if you're conservative. People in other metropolitan cities would tell me, well, LULAC here and LULAC, they would always mention LULAC. I was like, yeah, it's a left wing leaning organization, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I told Hispanics, I said, that are conservative, I said, y'all need to start joining LULAC and start taking over. Go from the inside, go from the inside, and work
Mm-hmm.
your way out. And so we did that here in Houston. About a year ago, I joined LULAC with a couple of other friends we're all conservative. And my friend, she's conservative, but she also works with Democrats as well, but she's votes conservative. And they gave her a chapter because she's so active, and she's a veteran, and she's very active in the community. And she doesn't, when she does work, like, community service work, like stuff in the Hispanic community, she doesn't look at whether you're Democrat or Republican. She just gets the job done. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody needs like something done in a park or whatever, she just gets the job done. She takes care of the elderly. She fights for the children. So they gave her a chapter of LULAC. So she said, I want to bring y'all all in. And I said, okay, perfect. So we built this chapter. Then she merged with another chapter that is also had a Republican in it. And he's our other friend. And so they merged together, and now there's a bigger chapter in LULAC, and now we've been bringing in Republicans into this chapter. And what we've been doing is inviting our elected officials that are Republican to come speak at the LULAC. And we have Democrats in there, right? We have Democrats, but we outnumber the Democrats. And so and they don't say anything, like, because it's policy driven, and we don't necessarily talk about politics. We talk about his issues that are going on in the Hispanic community. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what LULAC is supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be fighting and championing, things that the Hispanics, that are issues that are going on in our communities, that are no brainers, whether it's drugs, education, whatever it is, right? And you're supposed to be championing those issues for Hispanics. So we don't, we just kind of don't talk, or we don't really, like, I don't know, there's just not like anything. So anyway, so on Saturday, I call our president, and he's a Republican, and I said, I can't, like, be associated with LULAC, with you guys
Mm.
going out and endorsing. And I'm sorry, I have a problem with this. The news says that, what they printed. They
Mm-hmm.
said that it was unanimously voted by all the members of LULAC. And I said, I don't
That's
remember.
you.
I don't exactly. I said, no, 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 no.
Uh-oh.
I don't remember. I don't remember I never got asked a question. None of us were told in the meeting. I said, no, no. And he says, what are you talking about? And he's the president here
Mm-hmm.
in Houston of one of the chapters. I said, it's all over the news. It says that we've endorsed, Kamala Harris. What are you talking about? He says, send me that. I don't know what you're talking about. So I sent it to
That's
him.
odd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I sent it to him, and literally from Saturday to Sunday, he calls me on Sunday. He says, Bianca, I've talked to about 100 people from yesterday to today. None of us knew this at all.
Mm-hmm.
We had no idea. None of us were asked. LULAC just had their national conference in Vegas, and they didn't bring it up. And then nobody talked about it. They didn't say anything about it. So we started investigating, and so what happened is a rogue former president of LULAC, he got ousted from LULAC, actually, because he's so left wing, like left wing. They called upon him to resign as of June 1st. So he resigns. The day after our call that went viral, he opened up a federal PAC using LULAC's name.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why the media on Saturday morning Now, mind you,
Oh.
he has no authority to use LULAC. He's not asked any of the members. They have no members. None of the members even know that this is going on. And he goes rogue and he opens up a federal PAC. He calls it LULAC Adelante. And then he tells the media, right, that
Mm-hmm.
they're endorsing Kamala to make a big story about it, to make it look like LULAC's behind Kamala.
Damn.
And so he totally like, and so it's like, I mean, it's like war inside LULAC.
It's like,
And
sorry,
so
that's
we have,
LULAC LGBT plus.
yes, exactly. It's like
Sorry, don't confuse me.
no, exact XXX, the Latinx version of LULAC, right? And
LULAC
so
X.
so they are like, we have a meeting coming up this past week because that was like Friday, Saturday, and so we have a meeting coming up. So I tell my president, I said, if this is the way LULAC wants to play, then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make a motion during our meeting to endorse President Donald J. Trump with our chapter. And he goes, okay. He goes, but I have to turn you down. And I said, yeah, I know. And I said, and he goes, because we're a nonprofit and we don't endorse people. And I said, correct. But I want it on record. And I did. I got it on record. I taped the whole thing. I haven't released it. I was going to release it, but there's so much stuff going on. So there's
That's that
Democrats.
three steps ahead Jedi mind trick you're playing again over there. I need it
Mm-hmm.
in writing.
Man, I'm telling you, man, I'm all over this. So he draws up a resolution. He goes, I'm going to draw up a resolution, and he's invited some of the other Democrats, right, to come in, because let me tell you, the Democrats are pissed. There's like 8 chapters, I think, here in Houston, and 7 out of the 8 are all in agreement that this is like, it should not be happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, this needs to be, that pact needs to be resolved, dissolved, and we need to sanction these people, this former president, for doing this, because you can't use our logo and
Yeah,
run
just take
around
your
saying
name.
that you
Mm-hmm.
represent. Yeah. So we drop a resolution. I get the whole reading of the resolution, okay, on tape. And you should have seen the Democrats. They were furious. I got one of, like, the former district director of
When are they
LULAC.
not?
Really, really, really nice lady. Really nice lady. She's been around for a very long time. She knows her stuff. And she was just like, I will quit LULAC if this is not, dissolved, and this is wrong, and blah. I mean, she, on every level, it's against our bylaws, it's against our constitution. He had no right to do that. I mean, she is letting them have it. And I'm like, thank you so much. Because the point is, you did something that was illegal, like according to the bylaws of LULAC. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
run around and do that. And so we're sitting there, and this is the thing. So LULAC, the national people, they're calling around and going, what are we going to do with Roy? Roy's our president, right? What are we going to do with him? I'm like, what do you think you're going to do with him? What are you gonna do? Come, like, he's a former retired lieutenant colonel of the Air Force. What are you gonna do to him? Seriously, like, what are we gonna do with Roy? What are you gonna box him up and put him put him in a closet or something? I mean, come on. And so I'm like, they weren't expecting this. See, this is exactly why we needed to infiltrate LULAC,
Mm-hmm.
because, and not infiltrate, but we needed to be part of it to
Yeah,
push
yeah.
back. But here's the thing. The reason why is because, had none of us been part of LULAC, this would have been going on and he would be getting away with everything, because no one would be pushing back.
Mm-hmm.
None of us would have even known. We would have, you've been like, you were, and so this is where all these other organizations on our side, it's this, I'm laughing my butt off at their tweets and their little thing. They're like, oh, LULAC, the left wing, and everybody's coming to our organization now because of LULAC. And I'm like, y'all have no idea what's going on. Hold our beer over here while Latinos for America First goes and handles business, right, at LULAC. And so I'm just like, this is the most, you all just have no idea what is going on, and you don't know how to fight. You don't know how to fight. You just want to take the accolades and act like you're doing something, but you're not really doing shit. And so I'm just laughing my butt off at
Mm-hmm.
how now they sound like the left. They're so uninformed, they don't even know what's going on. And so anyhow, so we passed this resolution to not only impeach the current president, to dissolve, we're asking to them for to dissolve the PAC, and to recant the endorsement to Kamala Harris. So we passed this resolution, And it's unanimous. Both Republicans and Democrats vote on this. We have a unanimous vote. There's not one nay in the room that says that, I'm not going to agree with this. Everybody in agreement that this is what we need to do. So we told National, you have a week to respond back. And the district director goes, I've been calling the president, the former president. She goes, none of them will answer my call. And I said, no, because they know they did wrong. And so I said, we got him on the run, right? Well, no, let me tell you, this former president this week, like literally digs his heels in the sand, and he's like, So he goes on MSNBC, Telemundo, he's on everything, wearing the LULAC, wearing his LULAC stuff, saying, oh, listen, he is proclaiming right now that he has $10 million to go dump into the battleground states so that he can make sure that they deliver the votes for Kamala. $10 million. Okay, you just opened up a PAC. Who gave you $10 million? We can't find out till October when the reporting gets done. We won't know who gave him money. But somebody handed him a check of $10 million. So
Jeez.
let me tell you. Oh,
Wow.
no. So I'm like, mm-mm. So now I'm like, okay, now it's game on, buddy. Game on. So this, like, I think the day before yesterday, there's an LA Times article that gets put out. And they mention, this is why this is important for you guys in California. They mention a girl by the name of Chavez Rodriguez. And they said she's pretty much, in the article, it reads as, she is Biden's assistant at the White House, and she's in charge of the Latino engagement, Latino outreach, right, for the White House. And they said she hasn't been reporting to work, so they were trying to figure out, like, why isn't she at work? And the story is, oh, well, now we know why she's not at work. She has been picked, and they say, oh, the reason we're so proud, they're all like, woo, we're so proud, that she's been selected to be Kamala Harris's campaign manager.
I'm seeing the story right now. Julie
All
Chavez
right.
Rodriguez.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes deeper. So guess whose granddaughter she is?
Caesar. For Caesar.
Yep. So who Cesar Chavez was the reason LULAC formed. Okay? So, okay, I'm connecting the dots here, guys. So this chick gets picked as the campaign manager for Kamala. She's going to champion and bring back the Latino vote. They give her money, and she makes a phone call to LULAC and says, hey, get going. We're going to send you $10 million. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I don't have proof that is exactly what happened, but come on. I'm connecting dots here. How in the world do you get a call? All of a sudden, she's the new campaign manager for Kamala, and this guy, rogue former president of LULAC, is opening up a PAC without any authorization, and now he claims he has $10 million to get the Latino vote out. This is what we're up against, and we're over here in our little Republican world. Oh, I am this and I am that and I represent this. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're not rolling up your sleeve. What are you doing? While these people are 10 years ahead of you. They're already raised $10 million with a fake PAC, mind you, that has no authority to do that. So we are working on a press conference from our LULAC chapter. And we said, we're going, listen, if National refuses to dissolve this PAC, then guess what, baby? We're going to open up our own PAC. LULAC Primero America.
There you go. Yeah.
And then we're going to endorse President Trump with our own PAC using LULAC. Hey, you can play that game. You can play that game. And that's what we're working on. You're going to either do the right thing and follow your bylaws, or hey, you've opened it up so that any of us can go open up a PAC, and we can do the same thing you're doing, and we'll go
And
support Trump.
and it's crazy when you start talking about these donations, because when you look at who's donating to the left, to the Democrats, it's all these big corporations and it's all these lump sums and it's just giant money that nobody can compete with, right? And then you look at the Republican side and how they're raising money, and it's $20 here from this guy, $20 from this guy, and they're putting up the same numbers, even more. So
Yeah.
it's just crazy to see who is really being sponsored by the people and the conglomerate. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and so
10 million is crazy.
we had a whistleblower come out of Pennsylvania after our call that she worked for the Democrats. And she said, "Hey," she says, you know, uh you guys like really need to get like she was like saying you guys need to get the ball rolling here, because she said every election cycle the Democrats go to the swing states, and she said this is how we've been able to flip Republican seats to Democrat seats. She said what they do is they look for the top 10 organizations that do most of the work in the state. And so they go to Arizona, they go to Pennsylvania, they go to
Mm.
Wisconsin, Georgia, and they look for the 10 top organizations that do the work. And what they do is they sit there and they pour money into these nonprofits. And they 10 mil, so this is exactly $10 million, 10 million over here, 10 million over here. And they tell these people, go get the vote.
Mm-hmm.
So you're hiring people to go get the vote. They said, she told us, she goes, that's how we've been flipping seats here in Pennsylvania. Here in Pennsylvania, because I was part of one of the nonprofits, they dump a ton of money every election cycle, and we go and we chase ballots, and we do all this voter registration and chase ballots around, and that's how we've been able to flip seats from Republican to Democrat. And I
Yeah.
said, unfreaking believable. And instead, our side, all these little Hispanic organizations are over here to want to pick a fight with LULAC because they're leftists. Well, yeah, they're leftists, all right, but you know what? Go infiltrate their local. You go infiltrate their local chapter and bring all your people in there with them and take over, because that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're fighting back. Now we're inside and we're fighting back. And you know what? We're not getting pushback. Like there's nobody that's calling us and saying, like, I mean, they might be saying, what are we going to do with Roy? But there's nothing you can do. He's president now.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do to him. He's a president, and he just got sworn in this summer. So we got a long way to go. We got a long way to go, buddy. We're in here, and there's nothing you can do. You can't dissolve our chapter. I just brought in myself. I brought in 5 more people, and then the Republican Party here locally shames Roy and says, you need to stop recruiting Republicans to be part of LULAC. Now you want to dictate what we do?
Mm.
No, it doesn't work that way. And that's what my message is to both parties. You don't own us. This is what's brilliant about your, Latino free minds. You don't own us. You
Nope.
don't. You don't own us on the right. You don't own us on the left. We're free thinkers. We can think for ourselves. Let us make the decision. You show us what you can produce, and you show us what you can produce. And right now, the way that I see it is, we have 4 years of Trump, and we know what he produced in 4 years. We
Yep.
have 4 years of this disastrous Kamala Biden, and we know what they've produced. Nothing. They have literally like burned this country to the ground. So we know the difference. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're coming out in numbers going, we want the mean tweets are not so mean anymore, are they? Because you have more money in your pocket. Your business
Oh yeah.
was growing. You were able to get more loans for your to open up even bigger business, so you could hire even more people and put more people to work.
Mm-hmm.
The
No
people need
brainer.
to
No brainer.
realize the people need to realize that the person running for president right now is the same person. She's saying that she can fix the mess that she caused in the
Yeah.
first place.
On day
So
one
Yeah.
instead of now.
on day one, yeah,
On day one, I'm like, you're in there now.
That's
Why are
probably
you not doing this now?
that's probably why she won't do interviews. I mean, that would be the first question anyone would, I would imagine, would ask her. Well, you're promising all this on day one, but you're actually in there, so why not do it now? And then to
Yeah.
to the point that you were making, it's like it's true, and we said it before. It's like, for example, like us here, it's like, it's just we're using our voices, and we're battling billions of dollars when you add it all up. And
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so important for, for example, what you did, right, to get everybody unified in one call and one thing. Like, I think that should happen more often, and not be so worried about, like you said, I'm my group is doing this, and my group is doing that, or I'm this, I'm that. It's like, if we unite, if we put egos aside or whatever you want to call it, and just you know, get together, because like you said, it's so much ground to cover,
Lot
and
of
we
ground,
can make some damage,
massive damage,
without having
without,
all
yeah,
those billions of dollars. So
yep.
I think it's important, and that whole Chavez Lulac thing is interesting. Sounds like a conspiracy theory, but every conspiracy theory we talked about here has become fact. So I don't know.
Go,
Your odds are
go,
good.
go fact check me. You'll go to the Federal Ethics Commission and look up LULAC, and you'll see that they opened up August 8th. Go back and research the former president of LULAC, and you'll find the articles that say that how they ousted him, and they asked for his resignation as June 1st. And then see, go back and listen. I mean, it's documented. This is so not a conspiracy theory. Now you find out that this Chavez Rodriguez is Cesar Chavez's granddaughter, and she is Kamala Harris's campaign manager. Think about that. Listen, the power, the Democrats know that they can't afford to lose any Latino votes. They
Hmm.
can't. They can't afford it. They've already lost a chunk and they want them all back, and they're willing to put multi-million dollars into making sure that they secure and keep our people impoverished, keep our people underneath that plantation mentality. And it's scary because look, like it or not, Kamala she's gained some momentum.
Hmm.
Like it or not, listen, their party was like dead. Nobody wanted Biden. And so they were not enthused. But the Democrat Party has literally given Kamala, they've given their own party like a little, resuscitation of energy. And there's people that are literally buying into this stuff. They're
Hmm.
crazy. They're literally crazy. And so this is what we're up against. We're up against they own the media. They're in the White House right now. They
Hmm.
have the Senate. They have the Senate, so nothing can get done out of the House in Congress. They have, listen, $130 million just for Latinos, just for the Latino vote. This is not for the whole election. This is just for and I'm sure I can guarantee you there's going to be more millions poured into that
Oh yeah.
because they have to fight us. And so here's the thing, you have to fight in your community to make sure you're getting more Latinos in an area that probably hasn't shown up to vote. Wherever you live, you probably don't have a lot of Latinos voting. You might have a few, you might have some, and here's the thing. I encourage any Latino, any Hispanic, Mexican American, Venezuela, Nicaragua, I don't care where country you're from. If you run into Kamala anywhere in public, record it and call her out because she can't come after you as a minority. It'll make her look bad, really
Yeah.
bad. And we want to corner her and ask her those tough questions that, hey, you're promising to change all these things, but you've been in the White House for 4 years. Why haven't you changed it then? Why is it that I still had high gas prices? Why did you
Hmm.
try to tell my family that they had to get a shot that, we want to make the decision. That's a decision I want to go to my doctor with and say, okay, do I have pre-existing, where am I right now? Do I really need this shot? Do I really not need this shot? Because that's a decision between me and the doctor, not between America trying to tell me that I have to do something. What happened to the whole my body, my choice? All of a sudden, that whole theory went out the door. It wasn't your body and your choice anymore. You didn't have a choice. They wanted to ram crap down your throat. And that's what we're fighting. We're fighting a very evil agenda, and we need to call it out, and we need to be more brave. And you have too much territory to cover. There's no time to be worried about who's doing what and who's not doing what. Go, get in your lane and go. I
Yeah.
stay in my lane. I stay in my lane. I will work with people if they want to work together, but if you don't want to work with me, I don't need your drama. I don't need none of your crap. I stay in my lane and I go. That's what I know how to do. I ain't got time for it. There's too
Too
much
much at
territory
stake.
to cover. Too much
Hmm.
at stake. There's too much ground to cover right now. Too much ground to cover. We're just, you know what? We have to multiply. This is what we're good at doing. We multiply. Look at our families. We multiply. So we have to continue to multiply and make our voices heard so that we can do that. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but we had the Trump Latinos do a song for us, and we've always referred to Donald Trump as being our luchador.
Hmm.
In the 4 years that he was in office, he was a fighter. And that's why I think that a lot of Hispanics have come out and supported Trump, because of the fact that he fights for us. You know, when you're in a boxing match, or you're in in a cage at a
Yeah.
MMA fight or whatever, it's you and your opponent, right? And
Hmm.
Donald Trump had everybody coming against him for 4 years, and they're still coming against him. It's like, I mean, the system is just piled up against him, and he doesn't give up. And that's what resonates with our communities, is we love people who fight back.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
We love, listen, I mean, in the barrios, if you're a gang infested barrio, the gangs are fighting for territory. And you're either going to gain territory, and somebody's going to either end up dead, or they're going to, but you fight back. You don't ever give up territory. You don't let somebody come and say, I'm going to take your house. I mean, we fight back. And that's what the Republican Party doesn't know how to do. They don't know how to fight back. They
Hmm.
don't. It's until Trump came along that this is why he's so popular, because he has a backbone to fight back, and he calls things out for what they are.
Yeah. No, and that's funny because when we came up with the fighter series is we were talking about um from 22 when we had the governor race here in California, and we had the what's his name, Brian Daly against Gavin Newsom, and they had their debate. And Newsom's good at lying. He'll lie. He'll tell it like it's real. You know what I mean? Like he's a professional liar. And the other guy, the Republican nominee, like he wasn't fighting back. You know what I mean? and
Mm-hmm.
and that was the thing. It's like, no, we need fighters. We need someone that's going to be able to speak up, just exactly like you said, like Trump, right? Just like Trump was doing. He was fighting back. He wasn't just sitting back and letting them say whatever they wanted to say. It's like, okay, you're going to say that, well, I'm going to say this. So we call it the fighter series because that's the spirit you need to have. You need to be basically, you know Jorge Masvidal, running and flying your knee into Ben Askren's face when it comes to this stuff and how you got to speak out.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
literally the conversation we were having when we decided to call this series and have people like yourself, that are doing things to help this fight out. So yeah, this is, what you said there was perfect for what we're trying to showcase with people like you.
Yeah. And the call to action, guys, is we got to register voters. If they're not registered, you got to, we've been doing some trainings online, and so we have been, telling people, like, listen, in your own neighborhood. I mean, just your own neighborhood and outside of your neighborhood is already enough territory for you to cover. You got to go canvassing and all the houses. You got to find out if they're registered to vote. If they're not, you got to get them registered to vote. Then you got to get their information. You got to get their phone number. You got to get their email, and you got to say, hey, I'm going to count on you, and I'm going to send you an email, and I'm going to send you a text, a personal text. I want to remind you to go vote, because this is what's on the line for us. Like,
Hmm.
you're either going to lose your freedoms and your liberties. You're going to lose your family. The government here in California is already trying to take our families away. They've already tried to take our businesses away. They're trying to fine us, and taxes out, like a
Hmm.
taxation. They're taxes out of our houses. They're trying to taxes out of any kind of ownership of anything, and they're trying to mandate all these things that we just don't, we don't want. And so that's what you've got to tell them, that the things that are on the line, the fact that they want to mutilate our kids, and tell them, oh, okay, yeah, you don't even have to report to your parents. Your parents don't even have to know
Yeah.
that you can go and have a sex change and chop off your, genital and stuff, and become a woman if you're a little boy. I mean, seriously, a fifth grader, sixth grader can go without parent consent. Like, that's how much parental rights we've lost. That's I'm
Hmm.
sorry, but I don't know about your dad, but my dad and my mom, like, there would have been chingazos, dude. Like, literally. Like, if the government tried to come in and try, if I woke up one day and I was like, I'm gonna go be a boy. No, hombre. My dad would have been
Mm.
like, vete de aquí con esa idea de aquí. No, hombre,
Cállate.
cállate aquí, te voy a dar un coscarón, a ver si te recuerdas quién eres.
Well,
Like that, they didn't put up with that crap. Hispanic families, we're like, my kids, I'm gonna be this when I grow up. Okay, well that's good when
So,
it's all cute when you're 2 years old, but yeah, when you're an adult, okay, buddy. Mira, first of all, I'm paying the bills in the house. And listen, you're gonna do whatever, o si no, pa fuera. You know what I mean? We don't put up with this crap.
yeah.
Well, because of people that have that same attitude as your dad is why, right? There's that pushback. See, no, they'll take advantage of the Latino.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh man, it's a shame.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Our culture. I mean, listen, our culture's hilarious. I mean,
It is.
like literally, like nombre. I mean, we just like we all have that uncle. We all have that uncle that goes to in and out of prison. We all have that uncle que se pone tomado ahí en las parties, and you can't trust him porque you can't trust him with any family secrets porque dice todo. I mean, you all have that tía que le gusta el chisme. I mean, there's
Ooh.
our culture is the most. It's a beautiful culture. But it's who we are. Pero no, hombre, you come after our family, you're in trouble. Like I have
Yeah.
7 brothers and sisters, and I can be in a fight with my sister. I can go without a year talking to my sister because of whatever reason, whoever, whatever. I talk to all my sisters now, but like growing up, I'll be like,
Yeah, yeah.
she says, ella dijo esto, whatever. You get into a fight with your sister. She stole your, I don't know, purse or whatever out of your closet, whatever. I don't know. You fight with your sister, but let me tell you something. I cannot talk to her. But if somebody goes and tells her, somebody goes and tells my sister, your sister Bianca, whatever. Oh, hell no. My sister's going to be like, we're either going to throw down or you're going to shut up. So, like, you don't mess with our family. You don't
Mm-hmm.
mess with our family. We're like, yes, and I love the white people that go, oh, mama bears and stuff. I'm like, no, hombre, nosotros no somos mama bears. What? We're like grizzly bears. We
Yeah.
ain't no mama bear. We are grizzly bears. And you don't want us coming out. Don't mess with our family. You don't mess with my house. You don't mess with my household. You definitely do not mess with the money that comes into my house that we're hard work or have hard worked for. You don't mess with that stuff. And you definitely not gonna touch my kids.
Yep.
Definitely. I mean, no, and look, in a Hispanic culture, man, little girls are daddy's little girls. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean, my dad would say, no, aquí, tú no tienes boyfriends aquí en esta casa. Hasta cuando ya te cases. I'm like, whoa, shoot, what is that? I mean, I can't, I mean, how am I gonna get married if I don't date? And so, I mean, like, that stuff, it was like, like,
Yeah.
people, I mean, growing up, there was guys that would say, I will, I would, I would have loved to have gone out with you, but hell no, was I gonna ask you to go out? Your dad's scary. And I'm like seriously, really? So like, that's the thing. That's a Hispanic culture.
Mm-hmm.
You're just I'm like, I'm not stopping at that house to go talk to that chick. That dad'll, probably take out a gun and chase me out of the out of the neighborhood. I mean, that's the thing. We're so protective of our children.
Yeah.
And then this government thinks they're just gonna roll on in and tell us that, tell our kids, it's okay. Your parent doesn't have to know if you want to cut off your genitals. And that's what's going on in California. They took y'all's
Yeah.
rights away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, they allocated a number, right, for how much it costs to go ahead and trick us. After all the lies, the 4 years of lies telling us in the beginning, before they even got, right, that in 100 days, again, I can't emphasize this one, in 100 days, we're going to fix DACA if you hire us. Where's DACA at? They know who they're lying to. DACA can't vote. They're not going to, how bad is it going to get? So it's like, but they trick the families. Oh, finally, we're going to get some type of, and then
Mm-hmm.
turns out it's a lie. Now we got to drop 180 million billion or whatever you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pura mentira. Like, and that's what we have to fight in the narrative, and especially the Spanish speaking households, we have to like tell them la verdad, as hard as it is, and to hear and stuff, because Univision, Telemundo ain't gonna tell them the
Yeah.
truth.
That's
I'm
no.
sorry,
That's.
they're not gonna tell them the truth.
Mm-mm.
And so it's up to us, and we have to educate our own family, and you're not going to change every single family member's mind. You're just not. Because, somos bien tercos. Los Latinos son bien tercos.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to
Prideful.
still present them. Yeah, yeah, very prideful. But you still have to show them the facts and say, look, No te voy a decir a ti qué hagas, pero nomás quiero que tú sepas, esta es la cosa que está pasando, y ahí haces tu decisión. I think that approach, when
Yeah.
I first went into that LULAC meeting, and that's what I said, because they're used to just Democrats walking in, and so they were all excited. They were like, I was like, oh, I'm here, and my name is this, and I just want to thank LULAC because you guys gave me a scholarship so I could go to school and get higher education. And they're like, oh yay! They were so excited. And I go, and now, I graduated from college, and now, I do this and da da da, and I'm like, and now I'm the Hispanic Engagement Director for the Republican Party of Texas. I suck the air out of that room. They were like, I mean, literally, you could hear the sighs in the room. And I was like, I was not afraid to go in there and tell them. And I said, oh, I heard them. I mean, like, I saw their faces, and they were like, and so I told them, I said, I'm not here to tell you that you're Republican. I was like, I'm here to tell you why I am.
Mm.
And this is why I vote this way, and this is what I believe in, and these are my values. And I spewed all the values that they believed in, because that's who we are. I spewed all the
But Jorge
yeah.
Ramos, but Jorge Ramos
No,
says,
no, no, they didn't. They didn't. No, but no, this is the thing. When I told them, I'm not here to tell you that you're Republican, and I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just telling you who I am, where I come from, and why I'm a Republican, and that's it. That's all I'm sharing with you. That's it. My policies, what I stand for. At the end of the meeting, a lot of them came up to me and they said, what you just did here today was very, very bold. And I don't know anybody else who would have been crazy enough to come in here and do what you just did. But we really, really respect you for it. You are invited. You can come to any of our meetings anytime. They said, and they really respected me. And I had one guy come up to me, and he kind of said the same thing, but he said, you know, the reason I have a lot of respect for you is because you didn't come and tell us here that we're Republican and we don't know it and all that crap like the Republican Party does. The Republican Party is like, oh, Hispanics are Republican, they just don't know it. That's the most degrading thing that you can tell a Hispanic person, as if they're so stupid that they don't know what. So the thing to do is you empower your family, you empower your community. You tell them, look, I'm not here to tell you which way to vote, but I just want to educate you, and I want to present you the facts. This is what this platform is. This is what this platform is. I want you to decide, when we need you to go vote, but I want you to decide which one represents your family. Listen, when you give them the platforms side by side, it's a no-brainer. They go, pues, no, hombre, creemos en esto. Well,
Yeah.
then that's where you vote. That's where you vote. But I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm just going to tell you this are the facts. And if you don't believe
I'm
me,
just
go
enlightening you.
investigate, go Google. Yeah, go Google it. This is a information, a society now that you can go look up whatever you want to look up. And so
hmm
when you take that approach with our community, and you don't try to like go and tell them what they are and aren't, and you're trying to take away that from them. The only reason that the Democrat Party has gotten this far with the Hispanic community is because they have lied to our community. They
mm
have lied and lied and lied, and our community never went and investigated it. They never went to go look at, pues, Juliana Mangana está diciendo la verdad o no. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't go investigate. So what you do, you build that relationship, and they're trusting. We become loyal. We're like, pues Juliana Mangana dijo, so la creemos.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And so unless you go and tell them different, and you say, I'm not here to tell you, whatever, but you empower them to make the decision, they will respect you a lot more, and your influence on them is going to go much farther, because they're going to appreciate that you didn't talk down to them like they're so stupid that they don't know how to vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's true, right? And you know, with like the Spanish stuff, like I've been trying to do more Spanish stuff. As far as like posting, just hey, because you're not gonna hear what I just posted. You're not gonna hear it on Univision or Telemundo, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm definitely trying to focus on that more because it's needed, I think. And hopefully more and more people do it. And you know, what could be interesting is a call like you did, like you heard, the one that you did already. If you did one of those in Spanish, that could be that could be something. That could be something.
Yeah, yeah, we've talked about, what the next step is, and we have a couple of ideas that we've been working on in how we want to approach it and how we're going to do it. And the thing is that it has to be organic,
Yes,
and
yes.
so that's why that was so successful, because it was really truly organic.
Mhm.
But we well, honestly, I mean, we just kind of like, okay, well, if the blacks did it, why can't we do it? But that is definitely something to really think about, is to do something in Spanish,
Mhm.
because I think that, but it's let me tell you something. We'd have to do like a whole series of them, because there was so many Hispanics that were on this call that I would have loved to have had a say, and had like 5 more minutes. And this is the other thing. Look, you tell our Hispanics. What did I tell everybody when they got on the line? I'm like, guys, please, I'm gonna ask you the question. Say it in 2 to 3 minutes, because if people would have stuck to the 2 to 3 minutes, I would have been able to go through a lot of more people. Pero no, hombre, son como yo. Les gusta hablar. Les gusta hablar. We can talk forever. You ask us a
No,
question and we give you a whole thesis.
and it's important to note about that Zoom call. It wasn't just go ahead and click and you're in, right? It's something you had to
Mm-hmm.
register for. So those
Mm-hmm.
numbers really do count. They're not
Mhm.
bots. I had
Yeah.
to go
No.
into two different steps into before I even got to then get accepted by you, So yeah, it was those were legit real
Real
Latinos
people.
or Hispanics,
And
Yeah.
and the good thing is, you have that data. So no matter what, they can't take that from you. You can always get a hold of everybody because everybody put their email, everybody put their number or
Yeah.
whatnot. So you're
Yeah. That's
available to
right.
reach out to them, even if you speak as freely as you want to speak, and they say, okay, we're gonna shut down Bianca's ex, her Instagram or whatever. All right, fine. You have the information.
I do. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
money right there, if you will.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Trust me. And I'm very careful with the information, because I don't like
Hmm.
to send out 20 million gazillion texts and emails, and bother people. So I'm like, when I have something to say, you're gonna hear it. And I have sent out some emails because I did a training and stuff. And in fact, I'm supposed to send out a follow-up email, but we've been so busy. I'm like, oh my God, I have to like sit down and get this follow-up email, because
Hmm.
we did a training for people to figure out, okay, well, how do we get started? There were so many people reaching out, like, what do I do? How do I get started? Where do I go? And we went over like this, just the first couple of steps. Like, just this alone is a huge recruiting poll workers to work at the election where you're gonna, in your area, that's already a huge step,
Hmm.
because the Democrats are not used to Republicans coming and watching the polls. They're
Yeah.
not. That's how they get away with all the crap that they get away with. They're not used to that. So they're not used to poll workers, and they're not definitely not used to, us going out and registering voters. I'm like, listen, I told people, I said, go to the carnicerias, go to the barbershops. You know how many barbershops like love Trump? I can't tell you how many barbershops. It's Hispanic owned barbershops. Hey, tenemos Trump, Trump. I mean, they see me, they already know. And I tell them, hey, on Saturday, I want to come register some voters. Can I sit in here for a couple hours? And they're like, yeah. So they'll let me sit in their barber shop. And I'm
Nice.
just like, and I'll just put like, hey, I'm doing voter registration. And you'd be surprised how many people are not registered to vote. They're like, oh, I moved or whatever. I'm like, oh, well, you need to register to vote because you need to be in your address now. And
Hmm.
so sure enough, I mean, it's been something that we've been really working on. And hair salons, barbershops, meat markets, places that our people go, and go talk to the supermarket, and say, hey, I'm just registering voters. I'm not doing anything political. I'm not asking for Democrat, Republican. I don't know how California is. Do you guys have to register by party affiliation or no?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, well then you do have to ask.
Hmm.
But typically, I mean, if you go to your small business owners, the restaurants, the Mexican restaurants or whatever, I mean, the Chinese restaurants, I mean, listen, you'd be surprised how many people are conservative. And they do
no,
like Trump.
well,
The Vietnamese, oh, that community
Hmm.
loves Trump.
Yeah.
no, well, it's safe to say, I mean, me and Daniel, we're on the ground. You know, we're talking to roofers every day, and it's safe to say that the roofing community, they have a couple of Trumpers. You know, they can't vote, unfortunately. You know, but
Mm-hmm.
it shows. You know, they're starting to think, hey man, when President Trump, when he was in office, yeah, I'm here illegally, but when he was in office, you know, I saw houses being built. I had job sites all over the place where I had a roof, I had work, constant money flow. And now, you know, I've seen production slow down. I've seen houses not being built, houses given up on, and you know, so it's, you know, we hear them, and it's crazy to think, because again, it's all the ways you approach them, and it's
Mm-hmm.
usually them that approach us and say, hey, what do you think about this? And it's our duty to, like you said, not be like, well, you need to do that. Well, how
Mm-hmm.
do you feel about that? What was different 4 years ago? What do you think led up to this? Well, how are you gonna make a difference? You know, and it's just a shame that they can't vote, but there you can see the gears are turning, and they're trying to influence. They take, you know, kind of like that Zoom meeting. I took a lot
Mm-hmm.
of talking points, and not only about spewing these same talking points, but doing my research to back up those talking points is something that they didn't hear. It was a beautiful thing, that Zoom meeting, hearing all those people, right? I mean, you'd
Mm-hmm.
love to hear, you know, what is it, Nino America take
Oh
hold of
yeah.
the whole Zoom of
Shout out
thousands of
Nino.
people,
Yeah.
and people
Yeah.
quiet when he takes the mic, you know. So it was a
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful thing, and
Yeah.
it's, I
Yeah.
think
Hey,
you need to keep that torch going.
Yeah,
yeah, my
for sure.
favorite part was, hey, he goes, with Trump, we ballin', with Kamala, we fallin'. I was like, oh man, that already, yeah. Like that's it. That's so I've been telling people, I've been like, telling people, I was like, hey, with Trump, we were balling, with Kamala, we're falling. They're laughing. I'm like, Nino, that needs to be a shirt. That
Yeah.
needs to be a t-shirt. I was like, I'll wear it. I'll wear it. With Trump, we ballin', with Kamala, we falling. Because you know what? La raza, they see that. They're like, hey, they'll love that because they can relate. They're like, it's just it's really cool to see that. But I'm like, I mean, there, and you're right. Listen, even like Drew has some very good talking points.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, there was a lot of people, and I wish that I was like, the call was supposed to be an hour and 30 minutes, just like the blacks did, an hour and 30 minutes. And so I'm like, oh my God, it's an hour and 30 minutes, todavía estamos aquí hablando. And so here we are, they're like, okay,
Beat
go,
the blacks
well, man,
again.
go for 145, but that's it. You got to cut it at 145. And I'm trying to read the message, and I'm like, okay, we'll go at 145. No, hombre, we went past 2, and I'm like, guys, we got to go. Like, I was like, man, I wanted it. I was like, I don't know. Had I gone through everybody that wanted to talk, we
You'd
probably would have stayed on that call
we'd
for
still
8
be on the
hours or
call right
plus.
now.
We'd still be on the freaking call with 130,000 people on the call. Like, everybody wanted to say something, and it was really sad that I couldn't have everybody. I was
No,
like, oh my
I
gosh,
I
this is
think
just
at the end of the
insanity.
day, I think at the end of the day, everybody needs to realize that what happened there, like you said, it was organic, right? It was out of nowhere. Boom, it happened. Everybody, like I said, I noticed people from all kinds of different groups and influencers and all that stuff. And it's like that's tough, right? Because you know what we do here in podcast, we talk. That's what we do. There's
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. There's other people that have podcasts. There's other people that have their own commentary stuff. Everybody wants to speak, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like everything that needed to be said, I feel like was said in that call throughout everybody that spoke. So I think, yeah, it would be hard, right, to to have 130,000 people and the majority of them want to speak. So I think at the end of the day, everybody has to just kind of, give you credit for, putting that together and giving everybody a chance to meet new people, because that's the other thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of people that, oh, I didn't know this person, I didn't know that person, and you get to meet new people and you go, okay, I'm gonna follow this person.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one day we reach out and we work on something and we do something together or whatnot.
Right. Right.
um it was
Yeah.
like a whole, it's like a networking thing. You got to look at it just, in the positive thing that it was, other than just, well,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to speak or I didn't say everything I wanted to say. That don't matter. I personally believe that everything that needed to be said was said on that call through different people, and that was the beauty of it.
That is beautiful. I'm glad to hear that. I like to hear the reactions, of people and what they thought, and it was probably one of the toughest things. Dom goes, "You handled it really, really well, Bianca." He's like, I'm amazed." He thought he was going to have to, like, maybe if some people, he didn't know what to expect. Like, he's like, and he said, he's like, "I didn't know if I was gonna have to edit like cuss words or some kind of craziness or something, out of there, or what, an infiltrator." He's like, you just don't know. And so, but he says, "I don't have to edit anything because you all were very well spoken. You got your points across." And I was like, I had people, and I was like, "Where were you?" Like, I was like getting mad at some people. I'm like, "Where were you? You were supposed to speak." And they're like, "I couldn't get in." And I'm like, "What do you mean you couldn't get in?" And then there was other people that were like, I was there. I raised my hand. I was like, and I just, because I only could see six little squares on my phone, and I'm like, I'm never using the phone again for this kind of thing. Like, I need a computer to be able to really, really
Yeah.
focus and scroll through the whole Zoom to see. I was like, that
Yeah.
was a really, it was historical. It was much needed, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Latinos hadn't had that opportunity to really come together like that, to really voice, and listen in to other people talk about why we were not supporting Kamala. Why do we do not fall in line with the rhetoric of the left? Why, who we are, and what we represent. And I think you're right. There were so many different beautiful points made that I think a lot of people, I've heard that from other people. They're like, "Man, I didn't think of that," or something, and now
Mm-hmm.
I can use that as a talking point. And they were writing notes and stuff. And so that was beautiful because that's educating each other. You're right. We were networking, educating each other. I'm like, "Oh, wow. I didn't think about it this way, or I didn't say it this way, or now that's a good way to make a point." And
Mm-hmm.
and so it was a really good learning experience. And I'm glad that, I mean, that Dom helped me, obviously organize it and put it together. But I called him and I said, "I need your help. I need you to help me do this." And I was like, "You did it with the blacks, and help me do it with the Latinos." And he's like, "Yeah, sis, whatever you need." And yeah, we're just, I mean, I'm just so thankful that he did that. And believe it or not, there was some people that were trying to take credit for, like, if it was their call. And I was like, "Oh, good Lord, here we go." You
Yeah.
can't just let it be what it is. You gotta,
Nah.
like, oh,
Everybody wants.
I'm like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, people.
Yeah. No.
It's just crazy.
Everybody wants the spotlight and the credit, right? It's just how it is with some
Yeah.
As
people.
part of the Latinos and the Hispanic too. Yo, 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 yo.
That's true too.
In with
But
the
no.
good, out with the bad, man.
No, for real. But no, we appreciate you coming on, Bianca, and
Thank
you
you.
know,
Thanks for having me.
it was a great conversation. I learned a lot, especially that whole Lulac Chavez thing. I'm gonna look into that because that's interesting. You
You need to
connected some
follow that.
dots there.
Yes, follow
So
follow the money. Yeah,
yeah.
follow the money. It's on our radar now, and in October, when they have to do the reporting, we're gonna have to go back and see who gave them $10 million. Who gave
Yeah.
them $10 million to do this? And you did it against the bylaws. And so, the guy's in a lot of trouble. Listen, he's in a lot of trouble. Because they're gonna report it to the IRS. Some of the LULAC people, and they're Democrats. They're Democrats. They're gonna report it to IRS. They're like, he can't. It was illegal for him to do that. He had no. You have to have. It was not brought up. We should have voted for it at conference if it was something that they were going to do or preparing to do. They should have put it on the floor at conference, and they said, "We tell you right now, it would have never passed because you needed 2/3 of the vote." And they said, "In 2/3, we've been they were like telling me about some other issue they've been trying to pass within LULAC, and they've been trying to pass this, whatever it was. They've been trying to pass it for 10 years, and because they don't have 2/3 of the vote, they can't get it done." And I'm
Mm,
like, so they said, "Trust me, this right here would not have passed 2/3 of the vote either." And I was like, "Really?" And they were like, "Yeah." They were like, there's no way we would have ever agreed to becoming political, because the part of LULAC is it's supposed to be nonpartisan, and it's a non-political, it's a C4. So they can advocate for policy, but they can't sit there and endorse politicians.
mm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But thank
Okay.
you for coming on. Whatever you need, we're here. just kind of like you said earlier, right? You'll work with anybody. We'll work with
Mm.
anybody, right? Our door's open
Yep,
to whoever wants to
absolutely.
have a conversation, do whatever, right? We try to do
Mm-hmm.
as much different things as
Mm.
possible. So, we're here and we appreciate, what you're doing and you
Thank
coming
you.
on.
And I appreciate y'all for starting to do what you're doing too, because it's important. The more of us that are speaking out, the more the more that we amplify our voices. I was like, it's time to amplify our voices. And you don't know that one person that can see you in Chicago or somewhere else or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and they, it's that it just takes that one person. You ignite one person somewhere else, and you inspire them to start doing something and speaking out. Then all we're doing is we're now growing and growing and growing, and we're amplifying our voice, and we're saying enough's enough, and we're not going to take it anymore, and this is where we stand, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're about. And but and so what you're doing is courageous and it's bold, and I encourage many more to start speaking out. I tell my group all the time, I'm like, you all cannot depend on me to do everything. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be the only person that speaks out. I will not be the only person that does this. It's like, you guys have to, you all are all leaders now. All
Mm-hmm.
of you are leaders. Most of my people on my board, most of them have run for office in some part, whether it's city council, commissioner, whether it was Congress, whether it's been state house, whether it's been state senate. They've all run for some kind of office. I said, all of y'all are leaders now. Do not depend on me to do everything. I can't be the only face and the only voice out there. And so they're becoming very bold, very brave. They're doing things in their own community, and and that's where it counts. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way to do it. So I encourage and applaud you all for doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let
Thank you.
anybody tell you not to
Thank you.
do it. Don't let anybody try to tell you or take it away from you. Just keep on pushing forward, because there is people that are going to want to shut you down. Even people that are supposed to be on your side, they will try to shut you down, because all of a sudden you have a spotlight that you took away from them, or whatever. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You said something that just they didn't agree with. Okay, well, fine. There's plenty of territory to cover. Your messaging, it may be for the certain type of people, and that's good. My messaging may be for another certain. We're not all the same. We're not all the
Mm-hmm.
same. God did not make us all the same. No,
Nope.
none of us are the same. So
Mm-hmm.
we are all genetically, completely uniquely built by our Lord, our Christ, our King, and we are uniquely built. And so you can reach certain people. I cannot. I can reach certain people. You cannot. And we just have to make sure that our voices are heard and we amplify. And so
Mm-hmm.
keep doing what you're doing. I encourage you, and anything you guys need, reach out. You know how to reach out to me.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you.
Well,
Well,
You're welcome.
you guys heard it here first. Like and
Mm.
subscribe. Latino Free Minds, not Latinx Free Minds. Those guys are losers. We avoid those guys. We don't invite them to parties.
but don't
We don't
forget,
invite them to parties.
what Bianca said, don't forget, we're fighters too. So if you want that
Yeah, yeah.
smoke, the door's open for that too.
Hey,
Yeah.
no carne asada for you this weekend.
All right, then everybody. Thanks everybody for
All
tuning
right.
in. Like Christian said, like,
Peace
subscribe,
out.
all that good stuff. Uh, peace.
Peace out.